Well, as I predicted, the Bitcoin price action has been very underwhelming. We're negative on the day. Stock market wiped off another decent chunk. And I kind of just want to touch base and kind of give you my play-by-play. Basically what I think is happening right now is this whole unwinding of various trades around the board. Obviously, I was calling for short Bitcoin, long oil, right? Because of this whole conflict with Iran. I don't really think that, sorry about that. I don't really think that this is going to come to an end anytime soon. I think that this whole war escalation, I think it's going to continue to be the case. And again, we're coming up on Friday, and this is basically the time period where basically I think we're going to see boots on the ground. Unfortunately, I don't want to see that for anyone, but that is the unfortunate reality of what I think is basically going to be happening, right? Not to mention, I think that, Iran has basically announced that, quite frankly, the concessions and their requests, they're not going to be met by the United States. I think, Trump was pretty firm on this. He doesn't want to basically negotiate. He basically wanted to create this impossible scenario that would allow him to have the excuse, just in my personal opinion, to basically go in and put boots on the ground. Now, obviously, Iran has came out and said, they're deploying, I think, 1 million troops to basically combat the whole, U.S. troop army, right? Or whatever you want to call the people that are coming in, right? And I think that, there's a rumor that the United States, they're deploying something like 500,000 troops, something like that. So it would make sense that Iran is doing probably double that. And in my just personal opinion, I don't think that the United States wins this anytime soon, if at all, because obviously I think Iran has been, playing this out for, quite frankly, decades, right? And it's just unfortunate because I think that basically the American citizen is the one that stands the most to lose from this. Unfortunately, this is going to contribute to higher oil prices, which is going to cause fucking idiots, dude. Sorry about that. It's going to contribute to basically inflation, and then you're going to have pretty much just a global recession is pretty much the general consensus when it comes to any kind of large sort of firms, right? I think Morgan Stanley today came out and said hey guys, it looks like the price action of Bitcoin and crypto, it looks like they're bottoming out, which you can kind of bet that that's not going to be the scenario. And I don't want to drag on to this whole, narrative video or whatever the case may be, because I think a lot of people are very overwhelmed with the whole price action, the whole doomsday people. I'm not here to make that claim. I'm just simply saying if you're somebody that's trying to price in risk or take on risk, now might not be the best time. And so again, I'm currently sitting on my hands. I think that the only consensus trade, and this was as of yesterday, right? Because I did, full disclosure, take 2 trades. It was basically longing the oil price and then shorting Bitcoin, just because I always have my long-term spot positions, and so I'm long by that definition. But I obviously want to hedge against my positions for the downside, because I think that you can make the case that there's going to be a lot of just uncertainty kind of going on, right? And historically speaking, if you're somebody that is of the belief that we're in this whole 4-year Bitcoin cycle, it doesn't really matter how we get there. But usually what happens is we typically will trade down at least in the half of the midterm years, right? And so I don't expect a lot from Bitcoin right now. Obviously, it's been holding up relatively strong compared to how it has recently been playing out. But I don't think that this is going to be sustainable, in the short term, even the medium term, just because of all this tensions, right? So with that being said, I'm just trying to say, kind of, pay attention to kind of what's going on. And if you're somebody that is just maybe sitting in spot, then maybe just touch grass, as they say. Focus on things that kind of fulfill your life, and just don't be falling into all these narratives, because I do think that cooler heads are going to prevail. I don't think that there's going to be some quote unquote nuclear option where everything is just devastated, right? Obviously short term and midterm things can be very doom and gloom, but I think in the end, cooler heads are going to prevail. And I think that, if you're somebody that is sitting in assets already, pretty much everything is shaping up for money printing, right? No matter how you kind of shape this. And that's going to obviously contribute to increased prices of your assets. So again, I wouldn't be recommending to short term, try to leverage trade or do anything like that. Don't take on too much risk. Be prepared for, oil prices to continue going up, maybe some short-term and mid-term, like Bitcoin, underwhelming price action, maybe even like testing new lows or even going below that, right? Just has to remain to be seen. And I'm off to the gym, as you guys can probably see. Someone tried to cut me off a little bit earlier, which is people driving these days blow my mind with how bad they are. Anyway, I'm gonna make another video maybe tonight, just touching base and seeing, hopefully we have hopefully we have a positive development going on with the whole price action or this whole like geopolitical tension. Because I think now, obviously I said this a few days back, but I think now everybody's trying to say like, oh yeah, now like Trump is just looking to invade and put boots on the ground. And so maybe that's not going to be the case. That used to be the contrarian trade, now it's not. And typically what happens is when everybody thinks that something is going to happen, that usually doesn't. So I do hope that we kind of avert this and we just don't go to boots on the ground. That would be beneficial to no one. So with that being said, yeah guys, have a great day, trade safe, make smart decisions. Bye.